Commissioners Court's order. Let the record show it is 9:30 a.m. All 5 members of the court are present. We're streaming live on our YouTube channel, and if you're watching and you'd like to make a comment, please feel free to call in on 940-221-2107. If you're able, please stand for our invocation and pledges. Commissioner Craig has the honors.
Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, gather here before you today, united in purpose and with humility. We seek your guidance and your strength as we engage in the vital work of governance. Thank you for the privilege of serving our communities and the opportunity to make decisions that shape the lives of those we represent. May you inspire our hearts and our minds, illuminate our decisions with wisdom and compassion. Let our dialogues be marked by collaboration, understanding, and respect. Grant us the foresight to consider not only the immediate impact of our decisions, but also the long-term effects on our economy and our community. As we navigate the complexities of governance, may we be reminded that our ultimate aim is to serve the greater good. Let our intentions be pure, our actions be courageous. Help us to approach our task with humility and grace, ever mindful of the impact of our decisions. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. As we transition into public comments, I have several public comments. First and foremost, Mr. Craig, I don't know if you remember a while back, we did the elder abuse resolution.
I remember.
Well, we have a new member in the Elder Abuse Club. Mr. Jimmy Wiley is celebrating a birthday today. And
Welcome to the club.
about the only thing older than Jimmy right now is dirt. So, happy birthday, Jimmy. I have a couple of updates that just throwing in the public forum here. I spoke with Plug Power last week. They're in an interesting situation right now. They received a $1.7 billion loan, an approved loan from the Department of Energy, but that was Biden's Department of Energy. None of Biden's loans have been actually approved by Trump's DOE. So they're in the process of an audit right now and hoping to get those funds out. If they get the $1.7 billion, they're planning on investing $800 million of that in Young County. So that's kind of where Plug Power is on the hydrogen plant. I spoke to Titus Tapaderas about the solar farm. They called me finally. I hadn't talked to them in about 2 months. Hadn't returned my emails or had any phone calls with me, but they called. They said they're still moving forward. They made a $180,000 payment to continue the necessary transmission study with Encore. I also learned how Jack County actually kind of explained this to me. I was able to figure out how to get onto the Encore queue, and they are on that queue, and they are they say they're moving forward. Mary Ann had since given us some questions that they wanted answered. He said he will get me answers to those, but again, that was the first contact I'd had with him in quite a while. He asked where we were, and I told him frankly we hadn't been moving forward because I hadn't heard a thing from him. But since we voted to kind of use Allison Bass, I've talked to some other counties, and I've received some other names of consultants, and I haven't really gotten much out of Allison Bass either. So I'm kind of not as happy with them also. But the one that I've been the most excited about is this CapEx resource group, a guy named Jeff Snowden, which is ironically Jeff Snowden. But Jack County, Palo Pinto County, and Tom Green County have all used him. And so I interviewed him last week, and I may bring that in the future that maybe we consider a different consultant. He is younger and more aggressive.
he the one that done the wind farms in Jack County, or is he the one that done the new solar farm?
He did not do any, he is working on a solar farm deal right now with Jack County. The one that they're building in Jack County, he did not do. So he is working with Jack County now. He's done multiple agreements in Tom Green County. He's done one in Palo Pinto County. He's done 77 solar deals in the last, I don't know, maybe 5 years that he's been doing this. Food Truck Championships of Texas are June 7th. Josh Weathers is the band, but the courthouse will be closing at noon on Friday, June 6th for the setup of that. And I'd like to remind everyone our budget workshop starts next Monday. Yay. All right, so those are my public comments. Are there any other public comments?
We've already got some word through the grapevine that we're looking at 2 more solar farms up north, a 1,500 acre one and an 800 acre solar farm. So,
Do you know where they are?
yes,
Okay.
we're up there off of Road 652. So,
Okay.
it'll be a pretty little deal up there.
Okay. Well, that's going to make things interesting around here. Any other public comments? If not, we'll move to receipt of hotel occupancy tax. We received $8,050.57 for April 2025 from the Wildcat Ranch and Resort, and $50.75 from the Cabin at Salt Fork Ranch. We'll move to consider the county clerk's minutes from a previous meeting, April 14th, 28th, and 12th. 14th and 28th is in your packet. May 12th is handed out to you. They looked good to me.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Wiley to approve the 3 minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Cresswell. Excuse me. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item number 5, consider the treasurer's financial reports and updates on securities pledge. Treasurer Milo?
No report.
No report. We'll move to item number 6, consider the auditor's budget amendments and vouchers payable. Ms. Roberts had a family medical emergency to attend to today, so she is not here. But we have her Robin. If she's Batman, we have Robin.
Well, that's fun. Okay. Okay, out of the general fund, we paid $137,249.95 worth of vouchers. That we actually in all paid $205.79.66.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Wiley. Was that Commissioner Cresswell with the second? I couldn't tell. I just heard it. All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thanks, Marshall. All right, we'll move to item number 7, discuss and consider employee bonds. Leanne Stedham, Young and Stevens County Community Supervision and Corrections Department, that's a $5,000 bond. And Jay Falk, Juvenile Probation Officer, Young County, $5,000 bond.
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Cresswell. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Shook. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Did you purposely abstain from this?
No,
I just got it. Okay.
He didn't let me have it.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Brad, so I just-
All right, let's move to item number 8. Discuss and consider issues related to the owner of Track 7 in the new subdivision on Texas Farm Road 3329, further subdividing its lots and the issues it will create with driveways accessing Texas Farm Road 3329. So Zach Houston is here to help us with this. So if you pull up in your packet, I think we'll all remember this subdivision that we approved a while back. And part of the reason we approved it as is because TxDOT has a rule as to how close driveways could be based off speed limits, correct?
Yes.
And so we set this thing up with where where they could have driveways to fit it. Well, number 7, owner of number 7 is wanting to further subdivide his, and he's created what they call a flag
Flag lot.
a flag lot, where he's creating a driveway on one side and everything in the back. So he's basically wants to sell the back to somebody, but then he's gonna create a driveway. So he's gonna create a situation where those driveways are gonna be too close together. Reading our subdivision rules, now granted I'm a rookie on this, but reading our subdivision rules, he would have to create a subdivision if he was subdividing his lot down smaller, wouldn't he?
Well, I think as long as you don't divide it more than once, once he bought it, I think you can always, way the legislator reads, you can divide off property once and sell away. If you do it twice, it becomes a subdivision after you do that. You can't do it more than twice.
But the problem in this situation though is what it's gonna cause where the water flows through.
Right, and I mentioned that before. I thought we needed to put that footage amount on how many feet, entrance ways needed to be between each other into our subdivision rules and guidelines.
Well, that's the situation we're in right now, and that's why he's here, is to show us exactly what's going on and why it won't work the way it's supposed to.
But it is state highway, isn't it?
Yes.
State highway.
So, does the state have rules on that?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have a minimum spacing requirement based on the speed limit, like the judge said. For anything over 50 miles an hour, that's 450 feet minimum. So we have to grant variances to people to shorten that distance for any number of reasons. And most common of which is that that's the only available frontage to their properties. So if we go through a bunch of work with a developer to try to get them to orient those lots to maximize that spacing, and then there's no rules for them to subdivide it. If they could come in there and create 10 lots out of something that we have just one, that could potentially take that driveway spacing down to next to nothing, which creates a safety hazard on any roadway.
Well, since we've already created a subdivision, I mean, this is a change of the subdivision.
Well, this is not a subdivision.
Is it not?
They're different ownership.
Did we not approve
No.
did we not have to do this?
It was going to be a subdivision if he had left that road down there,
And he changed.
and he changed the road.
We never approved the subdivision.
We never approved the subdivision.
So it's not a subdivision per se, but it is a platted subdivision of property.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at. Right?
10.1 acres or more.
So what's the mechanism for the county to have to approve any subdivision of property?
Pretty well, the only tie-in is if they put a road in or a common area. Now the state's took most of our ability to stop anything 10 acres or more without that.
Since every lot has its own road already, and they didn't have to create a common road in for it, it doesn't have to be a subdivision. That's the.
But you guys could set, you could set minimum spacing requirements for driveways also.
Yes,
As a
I
policy.
think we should.
You could require a subdivision to have to comply with those or come get approval from you guys.
Right.
If they're.
And I think we do need to set it the same as yours. Part of this, it was not subdivision, but part of it was over on RG2, that y'all would not have regulation over, and we could come in the same situation where these entrances are too close together over on the county road.
The thing about this now though is you trump us, because you own that space. The state protected us, or the rules.
We have authority to deny or approve
Yes.
access, but that's very difficult once the property is actually divided in that manner.
Has the property been sold though?
So in this case, it's a lady and her sister from Oregon, and she's real nice, and she's called several times, and she just was unaware of any rules or that she could do with it whatever she wanted to, and that's the way the laws are. Right? It's Texas. after all. You can do what you want to with your property, in as much as it doesn't harm or create a problem for somebody else. So she wanted her sister to live behind her and her live in the front. I've since worked with them, and they've talked about sharing an access.
Yeah, if they share an
I
access,
don't
there's
see
no
why
problem.
they couldn't share the access and divide it on their property.
Exactly.
And they will, and that's great when we're able to work with them, but it would sure be nice if there was a mechanism to try to catch some kind of subdivision on the front end before somebody just does it. And then we're having to deal with multiple families or multiple entities.
We would have had the same problem on finance, and that's why I brought it up before in the past, is whenever they went in and divided that property up to make the 10 acres or more so narrow because the property was deep, it was gonna put the entranceways just bam, 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 bam down the ditch line.
Well, there is a mechanism in place now, the legislation during this session, on flag lines. And once which I figure is gonna pass. Because every session we've been having, we're chipping away a little bit more of our authority on what you're gonna do. But it's just like what you were saying there, is somebody from someplace else is gonna buy a piece of land, and they don't know what the rules are. But those rules are fixing to be taken away from us, to be able to protect the landowners of what's going on.
I'm not so sure that y'all couldn't have and I'm not fully researched on this, I'm not an attorney or expert by any means, but to require somebody to at least have you guys look at any kind of subdivision and get some sort of certificate of approval on that, as long as you're not going against a statutory exception. I don't think that step is unreasonable. Because at that point, you know, if somebody just wants to do like an ag or farm exception, or if they want to do something for their heirs, you know, cut something into 4 pieces, there's nothing to stop them from doing that by the law, but having a requirement for them to at least visit with you gives us an opportunity to try to discuss, you know, access or drainage issues.
Have you heard of anybody who has something like a driveway minimum? Are you aware of who has one of those?
So I'm working with Archer County right now. They're trying to redo their right-of-way. They call it a right-of-way order, whatever your commission order is. It includes mailboxes, driveways, culverts, everything where people tie into a county road. But they're also redoing their subdivision rules, trying to head this off, you know, to try to force, you know, either a certificate of agreement from the county before they go through with the subdivision, and also include a provision that they comply with any other entity that may have jurisdiction also. TxDOT in this case, sort of. We're not a controlling entity for where anybody can put their property lines, but again, we're just trying to make the roadway as safe as possible. So somebody that put a 10 driveway subdivision right in the middle of a 75-mile-an-hour curve, you know, I don't want to know what the highways. So yes, I think we can look around and try to find some
Okay.
examples and try to.
I feel like everybody's kind of on board. I mean, I feel like there's, just don't want to reinvent the wheel. If we can find someone who's done it well, we can start with that.
I'll get in touch with Archer County,
Okay.
what they're doing right now, and see if I can get y'all a copy of that.
Awesome.
So they're tying in their mailboxes with that same order.
Well, they've got a right-of-way ordinance, I think is what they call it, and it includes all of those different items, including that driveway space. But
How
they've got
can we control mailbox, so whenever it's postal service that does that,
We can control where they put it.
can
I would think so.
Yeah, they got like stops.
Yeah.
they got
Driving
to
slow,
stop,
making
but
stops,
if
so
you
it's
ask
hard.
them, they tell you where to put it.
It could be hard on.
But what I've had to deal with in replacing mailboxes so far, and we don't have them say it's what the postal service tells them they can do.
But it tells them to hide.
Have to say on the-
Yeah,
if
it's
something-
y'all, it's the county right-of-way.
Yeah.
It's our right of way.
Yeah, y'all can.
So we can bunk them a little bit on it.
If it impedes us in taking care of our mortgages and stuff,
Yes.
it impedes in us doing our job.
Absolutely.
Same goes for dumpsters.
Yes, same with them.
Okay, so just so I may understand, there's no action to take on this. You're in contact with the owner. It sounds like we're gonna get this circumstance worked out. But going forward, maybe we need to consider some sort of new rule on minimum roadway spacing, mailbox spacing, and maybe Hardin County's a place to look at. Does that sound about right? Got it?
Yes, sir.
All right, good deal.
Thank you.
Listen, thank you, Zach. We'll move to item number 9, discuss and consider working on a formal contract with Celrico Services to provide food services to Young County Jail at a price of $2.10 per plate. Service will include Celrico Services providing 2 employees, 1 full-time, 1 part-time, in order to cover all food service needs in the Young County Jail. Sheriff Babcock, I saw him a minute ago. Was he not here? Did I not see him?
You haven't seen him today.
Chief Moody.
Captain Davis.
Beverly. Just keep going down the list till I get hit on somebody.
This is,
Good morning, John.
Hello.
If I can just hand some things out here with you
Sure.
guys.
Thank you. Sure.
Hold on a second. I got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Who else do you want to come? The auditor's office? Where are the auditor? Honorable Court, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Jaime Rios. Hate to turn my back on you guys unless you want me to stand up here.
Wherever you're comfortable. Wherever you're comfortable.
That's why I turn my back on. My name is Jaime Rios, and I am with Celrico Services now. Give you a little history on me. I'm originally from the Panhandle, and I retired from the United States Border Patrol. I was a watch commander of the Border Patrol. After that, I was a special investigator with Chapel Services. Did that for almost 3 years. Did 2 tours in Iraq. I trained the Iraqi Border Patrol, Iraqi police. I came back, and one of my retired buddies ran for sheriff, asked me to go help him in Maverick County, Eagle Pass, Texas. Did that for about 4.5 years. Didn't know anything about the jails, but I learned. I learned a lot. I worked very closely with the Texas Commission on Jail Standards. That jail was out of compliance. I was not aware that there was an oversight agency that pretty much ran all the jails. We were out of compliance. I was able to bring that jail back into compliance. Did that for 4.5 years. From there, I was asked if I could go to Bexar County. They were having some major issues there. I went there and I ran that jail for 4 years, and every year, thank God, I passed it successfully. That's when I came across Celrico, and they do the food service. Now I'm with Celrico, I retired, and we do the food service for Bexar County, 5,000 inmates, Tarrant County, about 4,800 inmates. We also have Montgomery, and we have Cameron County. I was contacted by a friend of mine that told me that Young County had some issues here with their food service, and I came up, I met with the sheriff and Captain Beverly, and I'm here now. If I can go through this real quick, on the left-hand side, that was just side there, I've got a flyer there, that's the flyer, that gentleman right there is the owner, his name is Greg Aleman. He is, his wife both run the company, they live there in San Antonio. This was the email, second document was there. We have our own nutritionist, certified nutrition, which is an Omni Health Nutrition. You guys go to this page here, this is your nutritionist. She submitted a nutrition analysis for Young County, of which I gave everybody a sample of. I believe I just put 1 page in there. But we have a certified nutritionist. Everything has to go by the certain standards in order to be approved by Texas Commission on Jail Standards, TCJS. There's also a menu here that we have worked up for Young County. Pretty much we parallel what they had here. And that was pretty much it on that. This long document that I included, which is the last document here, this is just a sample. It's called the transitional phase. This is the transition that we would have to do in order to be able to actually take over the contract, to take over the jail here. Very last document here. there's a phase for all this. Right now, what we started doing, just in anticipation that if it was approved, in anticipation of it, we've already put some ads out to try to recruit somebody, and it's been kind of difficult. We plan to start the starting pay at $40,000 for the full-time, and the part-time will probably be about 36, 38. Don't quote me on the part-time, but the part-time is somewhere on there as well. Little history on the company. In 2024, they served over 12 million meals in 2024 alone. By 12 million meals, I'm talking about all the jails combined. That's what we kind of did there. We're insured, bonded and insured. 36 years of service in the food industry. They've worked in, I believe, 3 different continents. Of course, this was way before I knew these gentlemen. They were in Iraq. They set up Camp Bob Hope in Iraq. They've done some work for a nuclear power station, the U.S. Navy in Charleston, South Carolina. They received the Nate Hennessy Award, which I did not know what that was, but it's a military award for contracts. Any contracts, they have to have a certain certification, which they did it. We're serving the active duty personnel there. The company was also involved in serving the Olympics in Salt Lake City in 2002. We have senior programs as well. Senior programs, we have it in El Paso, which is served approximately 14,000 meals per week. In Phoenix, we serve 15,000 meals a week. ACOG, which is the Alamo Area Council of Government. They're the smaller contracts. We just picked that one up, and that's expanding. They're doing about 3,000 meals a week. We also have a custodial service, 35 different locations there in San Antonio. They do child nutrition for the juvenile detention centers in Bexar County and Montgomery County. Bexar County will do approximately 170, a little over 170 meals a day, and Montgomery's approximately 50 meals a day. We also do charter schools there in San Antonio, which is there's approximately 8 schools that they're doing right now. I believe they're picking up 2 more, but I'm not 100%. Over 10,000 meals per week are served there. They're ISO certified, ISO 9001-2015, which is the International Standard for Organizations. They also have a SARA, which I was not aware of, SARA, SARA, and that is an auditor that monitors your accreditation for that. We have a what I guess we would say a flat management structure there. There's no in between. Let's just suppose something were to happen and they were to call me up. There's no in between me and having to go up through the chain. The owner is right there in our company. If anything comes up, the decisions are made there. Unlike some of these other big major companies that I've met, that I've known, when I had an issue, I had to call them. They have to call somebody else, then somebody else has to call. By the time they get the approval, it comes back down. It's been a week, 2 weeks. Our approvals are done right there. The owner is right there in our office, him and his wife both. And that's pretty much it. We're actively recruiting, trying to find people that we can screen and do a background check and do everything else that needs to be done, so we can hire them if the plan is approved. And that's pretty much all I have.
So this is, I've only been on the court for 2.5 years. This will be our 3rd food service provider in there. When I came in, we had 5-star correctional services, and they were at $1.28 a meal. And then we approved in October of 2023 a switch to Cellmate Food Services, which that contract went from about $1.90 to $2.10 per plate. It was a variety based off what they were serving. But Beverly, is this a fair point to say that Cellmate Food Services just said they're pulling out of Texas and they triggered their exit of their contract?
Yes, sir. That's
So-
exactly what happened.
So they're, whether we want it or not, they're gone at some point. When's their last day, do you know?
I received an email from them this morning. I did not open it, but I believe it's in the July.
So we still have time.
We still have some
And then Celrico Services, which is who the sheriff and Beverly and chief have kind of settled on. They're at $2.10 a plate, so they're kind of at the high end of our other contracts. But the benefit, the one real benefit that they pointed out to me, which I totally see it, is it comes with one full-time and one part-time employee. So they're gonna handle all the food service, all the food prep, all the food ordering. It's gonna be like giving Beverly an extra jailer, because she's had one jailer of the 4 jailer shift having to do food service the whole time. So it's gonna be like hiring another jailer. And then
On our dime.
on your dime, well, on your dime, I mean, your food service is gonna be more expensive. And food service is gonna be more expensive, but, you know, but for that, I mean, we're like getting an extra jailer, so I don't really see a problem in this. We're gonna obviously have to budget for this, because this will be a little bit more expensive.
See, when we did that contract, they were like, well, we're gonna be here, we're moving into this area, that other. I'm like,
Yeah.
How much time are y'all gonna need to get set up?
We need to find people, we need to find 2 local employees is what we're doing right now. Actively looking for them. We've put several ads, we've received one person that applied, yes, and that's, we're considering that one person for full-time. As soon as I get out of here, I'm gonna go meet with Ms. Beverly and the sheriff, wherever else I can. But that's our biggest issue. If I can add on a little bit to what the judge was saying, having come from the jail side, the more eyes you have on the floor, the better it is. The biggest liability in the county is that jail. You have a death in custody, unfortunately. I had to deal plenty of that one in San Antonio. However, the more eyes you have on the floor, the better it is. When you have officers doing kitchen duties, that's not good. And don't get me wrong, we still, you know, they always require at least some sort of security for the person in there. A lot of people, sometimes they don't want to go work in the jail because they say, oh my God, I work with inmates. And we have to let them know, hey, listen, we're gonna have an officer pick. We have an officer that oversees things, but that officer's not full-time doing the ordering, having to balance the nutrition stuff, having to tend to the cooking, all that things go with it. So yes, from that angle, and again, the reason I gave you all my history is because I'm not that familiar with food service. They hired me because of my knowledge of the jails, that I can go in there and help them out and help them set it up, make sure they pass their standards with the Texas Commission on Jail Standards. But having dealt now with some of the food service, yeah, I can see the importance of having the right personnel there. Obviously, I'm thinking, you know, the company, they weren't 100% convinced on taking on a small contract because of the distance, because of the liabilities, because of a lot of other stuff. But when I told them, I said, hey, look, these small counties, they need some help as well. They're willing to do it. However, I thought it was just one employee, and that's what I had told Beverly and the sheriff. I went back, and again, I don't know much about food service, and you're absolutely right, Your Honor. The owner said, no, we can't do that with one. We need to have 2 people there. The liability is on us. We're insured, we're bonded, everything is on us. They should not have to deal with anything on the food service, which, again, I learned something there. I was wanting to do it with one employee, and we had agreed that they would help us out on the weekend. If we have 2, everything is on us.
How much are you talking? Just out of curiosity, you bring your business into town, you're gonna be employing 2 people.
Yes.
Is it a job that will supply insurance for them? Is it, and what kind of salary are you talking about?
Right, the full-time is a $40,000 a year on the full-time, and that one does come with benefits. The part-time does not because it's part-time. And that one is, I believe it's $18 an hour or something like that. I'm not sure. I'd have to get the hourly wage on that, so. Please don't write down the hourly wage.
Yeah, I'm not holding you to it. I'm not
I'm
holding you.
gonna
Just,
put my mouth on that.
yeah.
And the owners, by the way, let me just real quick, the owners were not able to make it. They want to make sure to let you guys know. They were unable to make it because they have Commissioners Court in San Antonio because our RFP came up, and their Commissioners Court is today. So the owner and his wife were both coming up here. Unfortunately, couldn't do it. I haven't had to come before Commissioners Court since I got to Bear County, so that's why I was a little nervous today. And it was hot, but I put on a coat and tie just so.
You look very sharp.
Thank you very much.
Like I tell
Almost,
you,
almost wasn't able to make it though. I had a tornado here, Steve. come
Oh, no.
Down in, just south of Randy somewhere in that area. But that's what we have, and if we can do something, I don't know if it would be for, I don't know how that's why they gave me that transition plan. I've never done that transition plan, but that's kind of what they told me. We'd have to buy the inventory off the other company and work something out with them, do the transition. And I'm very honest with you guys, I don't know how that system works.
Sure, sure.
But they do, and they'll be up here. We do have, the fellow mentioned, we have a regional manager that oversees all the jails. And he pretty much runs all over the jails. And he's the one I lean on, he's the one to help me out in Bear County when we're having some issues, but I was still the chief there. And, his name's Tom Robson. And Mr. Robson, used to work for Luby's or retired from Luby's or something. But that guy's hard to beat at the company.
We have a Luann special in our
Looks like it's pretty good food.
Sir?
Looks like a pretty good menu that you.
Yes, yes, sir. And there may be some additions to that, but, we also plan, and I don't want to say I'm speaking out of turn, we normally do at least at a minimum of 2, if not, I believe it's 3 additional meals, the special meals. We do the Christmas, we do Thanksgiving, I believe. There's something for, can't remember what the other one, 4th of July or Easter or something like that. And, obviously, if y'all had a function or something like that, as long as we get a little advance notice, we can do do hamburgers, hot dogs, whatever it is.
So Chris and Beverly, I know y'all talked to many people. Is this who you guys have kind of settled on?
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you, one of the biggest, talking with Beverly too, is a lot of things y'all don't see on paper is what the sheriff goes through on specialty meals that are required for inmates that are in certain circumstances, medical, diabetics, and stuff like that. You don't see a lot of that in this paper. Having something like this that has a nutritionist that can help us with all that, you know, the trips that we take, going back and forth to the store to try to get the things out that food services don't supply and all that's extra. And, you know, see a lot of that through all this. So this is a big benefit for time consumption that it takes to manage these inmates, their meals they have to have, when it's prescribed by a doctor or whatever. Some of the inmates have to have them. It's not a normal daily menu item, you know. So this is gonna be a big plus for us to have to manage that, and it takes some time away from us to have to go do all that when they take all that on their plate and serve it themselves. So it's a big relief for us and for the sheriff.
If I may add to that, me personally, I'm not a big fan of those kosher meals or any of that stuff. If you go to jail, you're in jail. But that's the law enforcement side, that's the law enforcement side coming out of you. That's not the company, I'm just saying that. However, we do have a nutritionist, and I'm looking on here because she did, and I bet you I screwed that up, she did put a, menu here that showed where the kosher meal came in, and when, gentlemen, I apologize, I think I screwed that up. They gave me another copy that had,
why didn't you bring samples of the meals?
I saw.
well, believe it or not, I do have a different program that I'd like to pitch to you guys, which I haven't even talked to Beverly or the sheriff about. And this is just my bright idea. I was a farmer, so I've done all kinds of stuff. We are doing the nutrition service for the elderly. And they've got these 3 compartment trays that we have a good sized kitchen there in San Antonio. So they're making these trays. And we're running all over the place down there, and they're delivering these trays. So they make them there, they're sealed, picture the TV dinner, something like that. So they're sealing them, but all the nutritional value in that is already here because it's for the elderly. Me and my infinite wisdom, I said, you know what? These small jails will benefit from that. We can't go in and service most of those small jails because the big jails and the small jails take the same headaches. So for us to get into the smaller jails, it's a little bit harder because of the liabilities, because of the issues, because of personnel, because there's a lot of other stuff. So I thought, you know what, we can make these meals and these meals go out. I just can't do it here because I don't have a kitchen. So that's a problem. However, on the weekends, we could do those meals. And his wife was one, the vice president's the one that came up and said, hey, chief, why don't you try this in Young County? I've been trying to.
So you would actually package the meals up here in Young County to be taken to other places?
No. In other words, we would serve this menu here,
Yeah.
and then on the weekend, we would be serving those TV treats,
Oh, okay.
as opposed to serving this regular menu. That frees up that other person. But I'm just
Yeah.
throwing it out there because that's.
Spitballing?
Yeah, because that's something that we haven't tried that we could try. And it's just something that works better for the smaller counties. And why? Because I saw how they're doing that for the nutrition centers.
Mhm.
So I asked the owner, I said, hey, how come we don't do this for those smaller jails, you know, that don't require that much personnel? So there'll be one trustee or whatever, they go, they heat up 50 of these at one time, and boom, they buy them out on the floor.
We don't get that microwave,
I'm sorry?
but we need to buy that microwave.
It's not a microwave, it's a big oven. And what it is I was getting a price on those from China of all places. But it is because of the tariffs and all that stuff, I put everything on hold. They were charging me more for that than they were for the trade itself. But that would have been more cost effective, and that way the company can do some more of the smaller kids. But we're not doing that. But getting back to those kosher meals, and yes, Chief, you're absolutely right, that becomes a headache. Because if they're true, ask them which way Mecca is, and not one of them knows which way Mecca is. That's why they got to kneel and pray and ask them how many points to pray, and they don't know that either. But neither here nor there, we have to, if they say, unless you get a rabbi to verify, which we did there in Bear County. We had a rabbi, and that rabbi would say, yep, this one qualifies, this one doesn't. However, we had another one said, when they're in jail, those rules are off. The sheriff just didn't go for that one. But that's those kosher meals, and they're very expensive, very, very expensive.
So in summary, whether we want to or not, we're changing food vendors because our food vendor is leaving. This is who Sheriff Babcock has picked, and it'd be a 5 to 7% increase. That's the back of the envelope. I don't know exactly what it'd be, but something like that we'll have to factor into the budget. I have not seen a contract yet. I don't know if y'all seen a contract yet, but
With $30 cheeseburgers right now, I can't imagine any food service not going up.
well, that's a fair point.
Right?
That's yours.
Would there be a motion out there to approve moving forward with working with Selvico Services on a contract to provide food for the jail?
So moved.
We have a motion from Alan Craig and a second from Jimmy Wiley. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0, so let's move forward trying to work on a contract.
In that contract, we need to make sure they can't just bail out on the sheriff.
Oh, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely
Must
right.
have permission from Stacy Cresswell
Well,
to exit the.
you know, at least 6 months' notice would be.
Well, our other contract, would it have 90 days notice? It had 90 days. We had fair notice.
Okay.
We had fair notice, they were notified, gave sheriff time to start
So
calling,
that's
get
not
that figured out.
taken.
We still have at least a month before they abandon us,
Yeah.
so it worked.
And that was a question that was brought up as to why they had bailed out. And, you know, he thought there was a problem here, so he was hesitant to let me come up here. But after talking with the sheriff and the captain, you know, it's, hey, that company just Yankees.
They're leaving the state, yeah, they're abandoning all their Texas contracts. I don't think they got a big foothold in Texas as they wanted to get.
They don't, because I'd never even heard of them. And I, you know, as a chief there in Bear County, we got hit by everything. So I didn't see, I'd never even heard of them. And when they told me they were out of Michigan, I said, that's probably why I hadn't seen or heard of them. The most common ones are, you know, 5-Star, Airmark, Summit, Trinity. You know, those are big companies that I've dealt with in the past.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Turn to mine.
Oh, yeah, great, thank you very much. And yeah, if I could ask, if you guys know somebody, we'll train them.
Yeah.
We'll train them and we'll work with them, but, yeah, these smaller areas, that was another question that brought up was, how are we gonna find people in that area, it's a small area?
Chamber of Commerce across the street can help you.
Okay, and I'm gonna work with them.
Yeah. Oh, I've been in hospitals.
I know what you do.
Yeah.
You got the other, about the same age.
Let my call together.
Amen. You bet.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's move to item number 10, discuss and consider metal detector permit for use of metal detectors at Fort Belknap. The sample or the proposed permit is in your packet. Looks like, Jim?
I mean, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and I just wanted to make sure y'all were okay with the wording on this. I was very specific about the purpose of metal detecting out there. Pretty clear that selfish ambition is not, won't be tolerated. It will be at the discretion of the force, any hours, somebody will only be allowed whenever I'm out there unless it's otherwise arranged. And I think like with the Boy Scouts, if on a Saturday evening, Saturday afternoon, they want to go to detect, then I can, have a game or something like that to be out there. But they'll have oversight with their scoutmasters, so I just wanted to see if we could get the wording improved, or if y'all had any suggestions or anything that y'all would like.
Okay, this is on any land that's either at Fort Belknap or adjacent to Fort Belknap.
Well, that the county has.
Okay.
And we can only control our own.
Yeah.
I think it's well written. I'm very happy with it.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion for Commissioner Wiley to approve the metal detector permit form. Do we have a second? Second. Commissioner Craig with the second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
And this will be the permit that I give them, but we'll also keep a copy of the information.
Okay.
Just so
Another question, have you been renting out for 4 months lately, or anybody been renting for that many months?
we just had the sheriff come out, with a basketball, or the Newcastle Youth Sports League. Those have been,
We don't have family reunions much out there anymore, or
there's,
overnight stays?
we have a lot of, there's Boy Scouts or nonprofit groups, that'll rent it out for the day for a luncheon or something like that. Family reunions are kind of, in the spring we have some, in the fall, and now that we've got their condition, I think that's gonna change, especially with Travis and their group coming in.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Item number 11, review the statement of revenue and expense to date. Okay, let's go grab it.
Here you go. Here you go.
Do they have one on the web?
So,
Hey, hold on a second. Do you want one of those posted on the county webpage? Jim?
Jim,
Oh, sorry.
do
Do
you
you
want
want
to,
her to put one of these on the county webpage so that it can be posted?
do we have a Fort Belknap page on there?
Yes,
We do?
I think so. I think we have a link.
Okay. Yeah, might as well, yeah, we all put it on
But
there.
it's like email address where they can email you the application in advance.
We can do that. I'll send you a digital copy of this, yeah. That way it's easier for them to, we can do that.
Okay.
Right. All right, you want to go, do you have yours marked up, or you just use that?
No, I didn't get this yesterday.
I know, I don't know how effective this is gonna be without Cheryl being
I
here.
know.
We wanna, with Cheryl not here, if we have some comments, maybe we can just all agree to go take them to Cheryl
Yeah,
when
there's
she
a
gets
lot of
back.
things I do understand and everything that she's ultimately.
I made a bunch of things that I thought we ought to look at.
Ultimately, she's the
Well,
one.
I'm in my budget right now, but.
Oh, yeah, I actually, we could do the commissioners.
Yeah, you can look at mine.
Stacy, I want to congratulate you, you are exactly on budget. Scott, you're trending over budget.
That's pretty good.
Alan, you're trending under budget. Well done. Jimmy, you're trending exactly on budget. So, no one's in danger. No one, everyone's
Oh, we're in danger.
Yeah.
Just not seeing what we're doing right now.
One of the things I want to point out here is the sales tax comptroller. That where it says 978, or what we've taken in 671,000, that's not correct. We've taken in $1,199,100.
What page is that?
That's on the first page. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
It's 10, 331, 200.
9 lines down. So that looks like our sales tax is wrong.
The other thing is on our young wind and our solar, or our hydrogen, we need to put in there when we do our budget, remember to do the 400 and the 160, make sure it comes out like.
Make it to the right number.
Yes.
We kind of purposely just rounded off to make it easy, but, I get your point.
Also too, the county attorney supplement, that went up 42,000, 38.5. We can make it over that when we do our budget too on that.
It went up to what?
To 42,000,
For next year?
yes, well, it's for this year also.
Like $4,000 jump.
Yeah.
I'll make this notice, she'll have.
3,500.
Gotcha.
Interest, do you know where we're at on our interest?
No, not, I don't have it in front of me right now.
That's something,
Huh?
that's something we're gonna have when we start doing our revenues and
Right,
our budget.
right, it'll be more than what's there.
We know we're currently in bank reimbursement,
Reimbursement, what are you saying?
in bank reimbursement.
That should be fairly current.
I think they're probably fairly current.
That's current.
And the reimbursement on medical out of county,
We're current.
currently now.
Yes, we're, at this point, we're even with that because we're just starting. And I personally visited with the new county. We have a wonderful setup for that. These people are gonna be tough, easier to work with. And they're gonna accept my numbers because our county actually is smaller numbers than
The nurse.
their county right at the moment.
I don't
So
think they had any, did
they jumped them.
they? Yeah.
They jumped them, so,
Beverly gone?
yeah.
Find out how many of those we've got so far.
A week ago, we had 10,
Okay.
but I haven't talked to anybody since like last Wednesday about it.
Okay.
We were pretty close to nailing the taxes. You know, that's always kind of a guess as to what you're gonna get.
Yes. Matter of fact, I think you're back. We don't like much having all the taxes in.
Yeah.
We like 94,000, nearly 95,000 having all the taxes in. And also our delinquent taxes is not far off either. We like 5,000. And then 6,000 having the delinquent taxes in. Our interest and penalties is exceeding what we thought it would be by about 1,700 or what, 4,000. So.
Okay. Well, those are great points, Jimmy. I'll take all of my expense things directly to Cheryl and get answers on.
I'll give her these notes. that
She may have a lot of those where she'll look at it, and she'll be able to just explain it as soon as she looks at it. But,
Right.
Okay.
She wanted y'all to have current ones though, and that's what counts, so y'all have it.
So basically, you're off the hook.
I was gonna try.
I know. You're off the
She and
hook.
I do said talk about a lot of this, but I don't know what, you know, I hate to give information.
You want a copy of that?
All right, so we'll say discuss, no action taken on that. So let's move to item number 12, acknowledge the deputation of Olton Freeman, Young County Sheriff's Office. And number 13, acknowledge the deputation for Brandy Billups. She's a deputy for the tax assessor collector.
She's all in the office.
The only office. So we don't need action on those two, but their deputations are in your packet. Item number 14, discuss and consider allowing the Grand Chamber of Commerce to use the basement floor of the courthouse for judging contestants of the food truck event. So they approached me a few weeks ago, and they would like to move the judges for the food truck into our basement. And basically, there'll be judges and volunteers bringing food to the judges versus they were over across the street in their building. But the problem is they're running the food truck out of that building, and they had too much going there. And I put this on here just to ask permission to allow them to use our basement for the food truck.
So move.
We have a motion for Commissioner Wiley. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second for Commissioner Shook. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Well, good deal. Thank you, guys. Item number 15, discuss and consider executing a general and no litigation certificate of Young County to allow the Nortex Housing Finance Corporation to issue bonds to finance affordable pricing residential housing in the city of Wichita Falls. So what they're doing, and they do this from time to time, I know since I've been on the court, it's happened a couple of times, where they want to refurbish something, and so they go issue bonds through Nortex to do it. And what they're doing is they're refurbishing the Sun Valley Apartments in Wichita Falls. I don't know anything more about them than that, just what the name is. But they've, in order to do these bonds, they have to get sign off from all of the counties in Nortex. So do we have a motion to approve the sign off of Young County to allow the issue of these bonds for the affordable housing?
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Cresswell. Do we have a second? A second from Commissioner Shook. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item number 16, discuss and consider precinct 1 purchasing a 2018 CAT 430F backhoe from precinct 4 for $95,000. Be financed through the First National Bank. Commissioner Cresswell?
I've done talked to Stuart. We've got a 5-year payment, and then the lease agreements in the packet. And I want to make a motion to go ahead and do this purchase for precinct 4. My equipment's pretty wore out on that end, and I need to replace it. So after we do budget, we'll fix it, the old one back, and put it on to be sold later.
So basically, we're just moving it from precinct 4 to precinct 4.
Right. And I'm paying for it.
All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Cresswell. Do we have a second? Second from Commissioner Shook. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item number 17, discuss and consider an agreement for Elon Musk's Starlink satellite internet at Precinct 1 Extension Office for $290 a month. Have you tested it out there?
No, sir. We're gonna have to have somebody come in and actually install it. Ms. Martin knows more on this than I do.
Well, tell everyone about some of the problems you're having out there right now.
Every time it rains or you can get a big dew and it shuts down the phone lines, it shuts down the computers. They can't even function in the extension office whenever we get a wet day.
It also affects
Takes down
your cameras
your
too.
cameras.
Oh, it takes my cameras down in the yard, but usually that doesn't affect the today as much as it does whenever they're sitting up front when they can't even answer their phone, or they can't even, like if somebody's calling into my office and telling me we've got a problem on the road, and it doesn't even leave a voicemail on my dadgum phone service, so we got that, what kind of phone service is that called?
They have voice over IP.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And they will continue to have voice over IP because that's what we got set up. But I have talked to several people on the Starlink. Actually, my husband, they had it out on a big job. He said they made 0 down.
Really?
In the last 2 years. So, I mean, that's pretty good if they're just out, no service anywhere. So,
The one thing we do need to look at this is Extension will wind up paying for part of this too, because we pay for part and then.
well, we'll take care of all of that.
Y'all have to keep in contact.
We'll get with them
on
on all of that. I did go up to a little bit higher, I did it 1 terabyte, so that way it would pull everything, the systems wouldn't go down, everything would work. So it is gonna raise his budget somewhat, but he literally has 30% use of what he has now, so. I went to do a retirement of an employee out there, and I couldn't get on internet phones, and I just sat, so I could use my own stuff to even do this man's retirement. So it's a little bit, it's been long enough, we've tested this Zio long enough.
Now, I know Stacy's had some problems out there. Do we have a motion to put a Starlink satellite internet at precinct 1?
I won't make a motion to try it.
Okay.
I'll second.
If they do not have fiber, they will not be getting fiber for quite a while, because where the cut is, there's no population, so it doesn't warrant them
Gotcha.
to put the fiber in right there.
All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Cresswell, a second from Commissioner Wiley. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Go see Toby.
Item number 18, discuss and consider for non-working truck requesting sealed bids to sell for parts.
I have 2 trucks out there at my yard. They were purchased years ago before I ever was even in office. One of them, we could start and get it to run, but we'd have to spend about $1,000 just to get a new compressor for it, and then have to spend about another $1,000 into it, getting a mechanic to come and get it all put together. So we'd be $2,000 into a truck that probably ain't gonna bring $2,000. It's so beat up. And then the other one, we haven't been able to get it started in 12 months. So I think just sell them for parts and see what we can get out of them and get them out of the yard.
One of them's a 2003 Freightliner, of them's a 2008 Kenworth.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Cresswell. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Shook. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Well, that was enthusiastic approval there. Item number 19, discuss and consider 2 applications, permits to cross the county road to construct pipeline or utility from Borderline Operating Corporation for Wessing Road. Commissioner Wyland?
Yeah, Brandon called me, and they're running the gas line across the road. They have stuff over there. North of it.
Harvey.
Harvey. And I told them to cut the road there, and number 20 is also part of that same deal.
Let's,
Do we have to do I think that's a $500 permit on those?
Yes, it's over here. We're doing that.
all right, so let's just do Wessing Road. Commissioner Wiley, are you making a motion?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a second? Second from Commissioner Cresswell. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item number 20 is the same thing, Borderline Operating, looking for a permit to cross the county road, Garvey Road. And Commissioner Wiley, you're making that motion
Yes,
too?
yes.
So we have a second from Commissioner Cresswell. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
And we did get the $500 deposit checks for all 3 of these roads.
Okay.
That we call now.
Burn restrictions, we
No
just,
vote.
no action.
No action.
You know, one thing before we adjourn, I meant to say this in the public comments. Stacy helped line up the 4-H program to paint the fences at William P. Johnson Cemetery. So Right now, that's scheduled for June fifth, and the 4-H kids are gonna get out there and paint that fence for our cemetery, which will be an excellent project.
Good.
Jared, did you do number 7, the employee box?
Which one?
Number
Item
7?
7, go.
7?
Tyler, I missed it, I don't.
Yeah, we did.
Stacy Driscoll and Scott Schuler made a motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. We did.
Did you look into any of that I came to you with after I found out about that?
You gotta be a little bit employed that.
I don't know how long we're gonna get on open record about me finding out about the highway there in front of William.
Oh, yeah, no, I've passed that on.
That's gonna be good, I think.
I've actually, we'll talk offline.
How that figured out.
Do we have a motion to adjourn? Do we have a second? We have a motion from Commissioner Wiley, a second from Commissioner Craig. All in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned. How are you?
Good, how are y'all
I'm
doing?
good.
Alan, did you ever hire anybody? Weren't you down one guy? Who was it? Did you hire somebody?
No,
Oh.
not since the start.
We actually found
I haven't found anybody
a
qualified.
city
Okay.
where they moved bodies. Don't necessarily know where. They moved into the Williams Johnson, but we don't know exactly where.
Well, they were set with Henry Martin. He told me all of that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, with Henry Martin, they just don't allow.
They go away.
Yeah.
Judge. I had I interviewed Angela Faulkner.
We're done.
Okay.